After I got the permit to return to the city, my fiancé asked me to give it to Clara instead. I didn't even hesitate, I said no right away. 6 months later, Clara died unexpectedly in the countryside, and John was devastated. We got married as planned, and it seemed like John forgot Clara. We were so in love. On the day of our son's 1-month celebration, John poisoned the food to kill us all. It's your fault, he said. If you hadn't been selfish and let Clara return, she wouldn't have died. Since you got her killed, your whole family needs to pay. When I opened my eyes again, it was the day John asked me to give my permit to Clara. This time I personally handed the ticket to him and said, John, I'm listening to you. You and Clara go ahead. Candy, can you let Clara have the chance to return to the city? John asked me. I snapped back to reality, seeing John's anxious eyes and Clara waiting for my answer by his side. What's going on? How am I back to the day I got the city return notice? Seeing my silence, John's face turned nasty. He said sharply, your family's status isn't good. You should spend a couple more years in the countryside, but Clara is different. He spoke angrily while hitting the wall with his fist. Clara quickly tried to calm him down, saying, John, don't be mad. I came to see you and Sister Candy off. I didn't think of going back with you. Conditions in the countryside are tough, and everyone wants to return. Don't blame Sister Candy. Even though she acted like she didn't want John to blame me, she hinted that I took the return permit from her. Thinking of what happened in the past life made my back break out in a cold sweat. In the past, after receiving the city return notice, I confirmed both John and I were on the list and managed to get 2 early tickets to the city. But he asked me to give my permit to Clara. I refused because I wanted to marry him as soon as possible. On the return day, John and Clara had a tearful goodbye on the platform. I stood there with my luggage, enduring the pointing and gossiping of others. Once back in the city, John wrote letters to the countryside every week. When I asked him about it, he said he was concerned about the village chief's child's studies. But 6 months later the letters stopped and he seemed lifeless. I later learned Clara had slipped into a pond and drowned while washing clothes. John, after getting the news, didn't eat or drink for 3 days and then fainted. I stayed by his side for those 3 days. When he opened his eyes, the first thing he said was that we should get married as planned. With excitement, I prepared for our wedding. Afterward, he treated me well with care and affection. A year later, our son was born, and on his 1-month party, John cooked a big meal himself. My parents and I were so happy and ate a lot, not knowing he had poisoned the food. With the faint consciousness I had left, I heard his curse. It's your fault. If you hadn't been selfish, Clara wouldn't have died. Since you got her killed, your entire family should go with her. Looking at my dead parents and the child John strangled, I was filled with regret and sorrow. Recalling the pain before dying, I instinctively took a step back. Seeing I wanted to leave, John scowled and asked, Can't you be generous and give Clara the opportunity? Clara, thinking I was going to refuse, said to me, Sister Candy, don't overthink it. I don't mean to take your permit. I just want to return soon because my mom isn't well. Since I stayed silent, John accused me of being petty and not considering others. I smiled, pulled out 2 tickets from my pocket, and told him, John, here are 2 train tickets. I'm listening to you. You and Clara go first. Really? Sister Candy? Clara excitedly took the tickets from my hand, treating them like treasures as she examined them. When she confirmed they were city return tickets, she went over to John and exclaimed, John, I can return to the city with you. Seeing Clara so happy made John smile too. The 2 were completely thrilled, like they were about to hug. A few minutes later, John came to me and said, I was wrong to blame you earlier. It was my fault for being too impatient. Don't mind what I said, Candy. In all the time I'd been with John, it was the first time I'd seen him speak to me so gently. I always thought it was just his personality to be distant with everyone. But watching him be so caring with Clara, I realized John did have a tender side. Back then, I convinced myself that John was just too kind-hearted, which is why he was so attentive to Clara. Gradually, I noticed John mentioning Clara more often, and they often met behind my back. I started realizing something had changed between us. But John, I'm not on the return list. What do we do now? Clara asked, looking defeated. Don't worry, we've secured the tickets. I'll figure out the list with Candy, John reassured Clara. Sister Candy, you have a good relationship with the village chief. Can you ask him to take my name instead so I can return? As she said this, Clara's eyes shone with a deep longing to return to the city. John then held my hand and said, Yeah, if you can't do it, Maybe your dad could help. I hear he started working again. For Clara's sake, John was going all out, even suggesting my dad's help. I pushed his hand away and said, I'll go talk to the village chief now. I'll make sure you both return to the city. With my promise, John left me to help Clara pack her stuff for the return. After they left, I started piecing together everything from my past life. Logically, after the first group returned, others would follow in batches. Why was Clara insisting on leaving this time? And why didn't she return even after more than 6 months had passed in my past life? Thinking over all these questions, I knocked on the village chief's door. Are you sure about this, Candy? The village chief, puffing on his pipe, asked me. In his eyes, the chance to return to the city was precious. If I missed it now, I might be stuck in the countryside forever. I'm sure. I want to give my spot to Clara. Seeing my firm decision, the village chief crossed my name off and added Clara's. When the names were announced, Clara was elated. She rushed into John's arms. My friends were baffled, trying to stand up for me. I told them I chose to give up my spot. I want to experience more in the countryside. Before they left, I sought out John. Looking at him now, he seemed different from before. I handed him our marriage document from my pocket. John, we don't know when we'll get back to the city again. Here's our marriage certificate. If you want to back out, everything can be voided. John's face went red, as if he was insulted. What do you mean by that? Are you doubting me with Clara? I never thought you'd be so small-minded. Don't use our engagement to start something. He placed the papers on the table, glaring at me. I gave a bitter smile. You're overthinking. I just thought it'd be best to be clear about things now because returning to the city has its own challenges. Before John could respond, Clara came in. John, once we're back in the city, She paused upon seeing me. After a quick glance at the marriage papers, she accidentally knocked over a lit oil lamp on the table. The thin papers caught fire immediately. Clara tried to put it out, but John stopped her. It's just some papers. Didn't you see it caught fire? What if it burned you? The marriage document I cherished turned to ashes. Clara looked at me apologetically and said, John, I didn't mean it. Was that important? I shook my head. Just some old papers, no big deal. Seeing her smug expression, I stood up to leave. Before I stepped out, I told John my offer still stands. Write to me when you've made up your mind. I won't see you off tomorrow morning. As soon as I left the room, I could hear Clara making John laugh. It seemed he didn't care about our spat. Our relationship, even our engagement, didn't seem to matter compared to Clara. John and I were neighbors. Our families arranged for us to marry before we were sent out here. To be with him, I chose to come to this remote village. Clara was fair-skinned and charming, easily winning over the boys. John initially didn't like her ways, but over time she was all he talked about. That's when I knew something was up. So when I heard about the chance to return to the city, I quickly bought a ticket, hoping to marry him soon and that he'd change his tune. But now it seems my plans didn't work. I knew more spots for returning to the city would soon open up. No one would compete with me this time, so I'd get to go home. I thought I'd sort things out with John then. But I never expected that giving up my return spot would bring me so much trouble. A week later, the village chief called me to the village committee. The place was packed with villagers. I greeted everyone, but none returned my smile. Candy, these are for you. The village chief handed me 2 envelopes. The first letter was from John. He bluntly stated that due to my supposed lack of morals, he was calling off our engagement. I was confused. He was the one entangled with Clara, and yet I was at fault? The second letter was from my parents, urging me to admit my mistakes and offering to help me if need be. After reading, I looked at the village chief, who was somberly puffing on his pipe. Are the claims true? He handed me an anonymous letter, accusing me of skipping the city return for a secret affair with Mike, and being pregnant with his child. No, this is a lie. It's slander. I crumpled the letter angrily. The village secretary said, Candy, I always thought you were a good kid. If you're keen on Mike, I can help set you up with him. Then you can go back to the city with him. It seemed they were convinced it was true, and I couldn't defend myself enough. I didn't do it. I'd never confess to something I didn't do. I want to face Mike and clear this up. The chief sighed, Candy, if you just admit it, I can help cover it up. Once it escalates, it'll be harder for you. You really didn't know? The return slots are already out. You had one, but it was canceled because of this, and the authorities are investigating. But do you know who sent it? It was mailed from someone in your courtyard. The only possible sender. He didn't finish, but it hit me. John must have written it. That explained Clara's reluctance to leave last time. My mind was spinning. If I took the blame, I'd never go home. Uncle, I didn't do it. I won't admit to something that's not true. I want to confront Mike. The chief, seeing I wouldn't yield, gestured for the people outside to continue. The next second, a guy in a black and blue puffer jacket walked in with a smirk on his face. Tell me, who is it? Don't be afraid. I'll make sure you marry him. An older woman nudged the young man. I guessed he was Mike. He glanced around, then came right up to me, grabbed my hand and said, "What? You teased me back then, now you're pregnant with my kid and you think you can just leave?" As soon as he said that, the villagers around us stared at me like they were watching a drama, itching to spit at me. So it's you. I remember you, you're from the city, right? What's the deal? You set your eyes on my son, got pregnant and wanna run? In what world is it that easy? You either marry my son or we'll dunk you in the pig cage, the woman said, looking at me with no room for negotiation. The village chief, smiling as if trying to mediate, stood in the middle. I walked right up to Mike and asked, "When and where did I ever hit on you?" After I spoke, Mike grinned mischievously and touched my face. "What, didn't get enough that night? Want me to jog your memory?" he said. His mom rolled up her sleeves to drag me off, but I, unflinching, said, "If you can't say it, then I won't admit it. Keep pushing and I'll call the cops to take you to jail." Fine. You're ungrateful, huh? Go ahead, call the cops. Think you're justified for seducing my son? Seeing Mike's mother fuming and Mike looking flustered, I knew something fishy was going on. I had to blow this thing up to stand any chance. After a tip-off from the city, they sent over an official. Noticing the chaos, he signaled to the village chief to get Mike's mom, her son, and the curious villagers out. "Comrade Candy, we have a rough idea of the situation from the letter. It's a big deal. They want a thorough investigation. We suggest keeping things calm by marrying the guy, and divorce later if needed," he said. Seeing my refusal, he continued, "If this goes to the police, it'll be on record. Not just you, but your dad might be affected too. He's just getting back to work. It's fine. Just hand it all over to the police. I'll take all responsibility," I replied firmly. He gestured to the village chief to take me and Mike's family to the town. Once there, Mike's mom sat at the police station entrance and cursed me, drawing a crowd. "Comrade, it's her. She seduced my son and now wants to run back to the city, pregnant with my grandchild." The officer looked me over. "You're young. Such mistakes happen. How about we talk to this old lady, maybe marry her son?" Nope, I didn't do it. Even if I were to marry, it wouldn't be to her son. I denied. Seeing my refusal, Mike got anxious. "You promised you'd marry me, now you don't recognize me? If you don't believe, I'll end it," he said, threatening to harm himself before his mom stopped him. "My son is so capable, many girls around want him. You're driving him to death and still deny it. Fine, if that's how you play it. Not even the king himself can make me take you in." "Comrade, I demand she be drowned," Mike's mom said, heartbroken for her son, determined to tear me down. "Ma'am, I didn't do it, why should I admit it?" Seeing my attitude, the village chief was anxious. "Think about it, I'm usually working on the west side of the village, his place is east. When would I have time to seduce him?" I sharply denied again. Mike pretended to hit the wall. "A good young man won't just accuse you for nothing. If that's the case, we'll arrest you right now," said the officer, attempting to scare me. "You're right, he is framing me." Spitting on the ground, she retorted, "My son framing you? Why only you in the whole village? And everyone returned to the city, why didn't you? Isn't it because you're stuck on my son?" This rumor about me staying back had spread widely. Her argument made me look even more guilty. "I have my reasons, but it has nothing to do with your son or carrying his child." After hearing this, the village chief looked apologetically at the officer. "Comrade, do as you see fit. I can't handle this." Seeing no support, Mike spoke defiantly, "Comrade, you must stand up for me." She promised not to return to the city. Now she turns her back, planning to take my child. It can't happen. Mike's mom chimed in, determined, "If we can't resolve this, I'll hang myself right here." The officer, seeing my firm denial, grabbed for the handcuffs. "You haven't investigated anything and now want to pin this on me?" I pushed him away, insisting, "Investigate? What's there to investigate? You're pregnant, can you deny that?" Handcuff in hand, he glared. What he said isn't true. You need to investigate. I won't take the blame without clarity. Frustrated by my uncooperation, the cop pulled a cigarette and asked, how do we investigate? I'll make sure you're convinced. Bring back the women who went to the city. They might also have seduced Mike. Upon hearing this, Mike glanced nervously, tugging at his mom to stop everything. But who knew Mike's mom would decide right then and there? Since you're acting all fearless, I'm not unreasonable, let's investigate. It won't change the outcome. You'll end up behind bars. Because I kept denying everything, Mike's word alone wasn't enough to pin it on me, so the city official sent to deal with the matter went back that same day. The next day, all 10 girls who had stayed in the village came to town. I didn't expect John to accompany Clara back. When I saw John, I was so surprised. I thought he cared about me and was here to vouch for me. But when I saw him supporting Clara, my heart sank. I became even more convinced that the letter reporting me had to do with him. Candy, everyone's here. How do you want to investigate? The village chief anxiously asked me. Simple, I replied. If one of us was involved with Mike, there'd be traces. Follow my method and you'll find clues. I whispered a few words to the village chief, and he left with a few others. After he left, the police explained the situation to everyone, and those 10 girls started buzzing instantly. Some believed me when I said it wasn't me. Others were skeptical, saying no wonder I suggested staying in the village. Turns out there was this whole issue. Seeing them arguing without any solid evidence, the police cleared their throat and asked, who lived on the east side of the village? Step forward. 3 girls came forward, but they strongly denied being close to Mike. You can't accuse us just because we stayed on the east side, right? We didn't work with him. Who worked with Mike? Step forward. Slowly, with John's help, Clara stood up. Seeing them, Mike, who was sitting nearby, had a jealous look on his face. Turns out I was right. Clara's entanglement with Mike was why she hadn't returned to the city in her previous life. Those who were somewhat familiar with Mike were singled out. Not seeing any further action from the police, they grew impatient. What does this mean? We were called back from far away and made to stand out, and there's still no result. Just wasting our time, right? No need to investigate further. There's an accusation and a witness, what else is there to check? How shameless, causing such a ruckus. Already pregnant and still won't marry him. Their comments were full of blame for me, along with disdain and anger. Seeing the chaos, the police shouted, quiet down. The village chief is collecting evidence. Both Mike's house and your bags will be searched. Hearing this, Mike's expression showed a hint of fear. Clara, on the other hand, remained calm and composed. They found it, the evidence, someone who went with the chief to search exclaimed, nearly breathless from running back. The village chief entered with a bundle. It was the standard issue from when we arrived at the village, indistinguishable from the outside. With a heavy expression, the chief announced, I've found evidence. If you admit now, there's still room for discussion. Seeing the chief not showing the evidence right away, John urged, Uncle, if there's evidence, show it. Clara and I need to head back. She's pregnant and needs a checkup. The chief sighed and said, fine. Since no one admits it, I'll reveal the evidence. He unwrapped the bundle, revealing a pair of blue men's shorts and a silver earring. Seeing them, Mike's mom rushed forward. These are my son's shorts and my earring, which I thought was lost. Some shameless woman took them. She looked around for Mike, only to find he had slipped away. Turning to the village chief, she said, which shameless woman owns this bundle? Tell me, let me see how thick-skinned she is. The chief pointed at me, this bundle belongs to Candy. With a smirk, Clara said, Candy got nothing to deny now, huh? These intimate shorts are in your bundle. You won't say someone framed you, right? Seeing her smug look, I laughed a little. Clara, you're smart. You just said my thought. Someone's framing me with these things. Who's gonna believe you if you claim you're being framed? Candy, you disgust me. No wonder you let Clara return to the village. You've been with Mike this whole time. How could you do this to me? We were engaged. John spoke with a tone of deep hurt. At this point, Mike's mom was even more furious, yelling, wow, you're truly shameless. Engaged yet seducing my son? I'll deal with you. She rolled up her sleeves and came at me. I took a slap across the face, seeing Clara with a triumphant smile. The village chief and police held Mike's mom back. Seeing my bruised face, everyone thought I deserved it. Village chief, now that the truth's out, can we leave? Clara asked with a look like she was enjoying the show. I spit out the blood in my mouth and told Clara, "Everyone else can leave but you can't." Seeing me stop Clara from leaving, John angrily said, "Candy, you've messed up and dragged everyone down. Now you're stopping Clara. What's your plan?" "John, that's not a question for me. Ask her. After all, she's the one who put this short and earring in my bundle." The moment Clara stopped talking, John burst out angrily, "Candy, I knew you were low, but I didn't think you could be this bad, dragging Clara into this mess. You know, Clara didn't even have to be here today, but she risked a miscarriage to help with this investigation, and yet you framed her." Seeing John's fury, the last bit of affection I had for him vanished. I looked up, pointed at Clara's legs, and said, "Can't you see she's the only one here who's pregnant? She was in such a rush to get back to the city because she found out. If Mike had found out, she'd never be able to come back." Clara put on a hurt expression and said, "Candy, I appreciate you giving me the spot to return to the city, but that doesn't mean you can frame me. It was your doing, not mine. I'm carrying John's child, don't insult me." Everyone at the scene seemed convinced by John and Clara's defense and thought I was the liar, scolding me even more. "Officer, there's no way my son can marry her. She's two-timing and now the truth is out. If you don't lock her up, I'll throw her in the lake myself," Mike's mother said furiously, resonating with many others. "Yeah, such a fickle woman must die." The officer picked up his handcuffs and said with a smirk, "I told you to quit while you were ahead. Now look, the truth's out. Get ready for jail." As the handcuffs were about to go on, the village head tapped his pipe and said, "Hold on, officer. I have something to say." He motioned to Tom, who brought in a sack with someone wiggling and making muffled noises inside. "What's this supposed to mean?" the officer asked, puzzled. "This is a new witness," the village head announced, causing Clara to visibly panic. "It's your last chance to confess before the sack is opened," the village head said, taking a deep drag of his pipe. When no one spoke up, he nodded to Tom to open the sack. Out crawled Leo, the town's troublemaker, with a bruised face. "Why do you bring him in? Does he have something to do with this?" Lisa's mother asked, confused. "Leo, spill the beans and save your own skin. Think carefully," the village head instructed coldly. After removing his gag, Leo held his swollen cheek and said, "It wasn't my idea. He made me do it." Everyone followed his pointing finger, and it landed on John. John jumped back, denying it. "You're lying. I don't even know you." "It's not you. It's Clara behind you. I saw her with Mike in the cornfield. She gave me these shorts and earrings today," Leo retorted, pointing to Clara. John looked shock-stricken and grabbed Clara's arm. "Clara, is it true? Was it you?" Seeing the doubt in John's eyes, Clara started pleading, "John, don't you believe me? This is all Candy's doing. Don't forget Mike accused her himself." John sighed in relief. "Leo, stop making things up, or I'll have you locked up too." Leo shot back, "You're so gullible. The reason she led you on was for a ticket out to the city. She's been with every guy in town with connections, but none fell for it except you, you fool." John was enraged and tried to hit Leo, but Mike's mother stepped in. She approached Clara and examined her closely. "I remember you waiting outside for Mike. It has to be you." She rolled up her sleeves, ready to hit Clara, but John pushed her away. "Stop making baseless accusations. Clara could never like someone like Mike. Teach your son some manners first." Lisa's mother, insulted by John's words, stepped forward to argue with him, and Clara used the commotion to sneak away. I caught her quickly. "Where do you think you're going? Your alibi isn't cleared yet." Faced with me blocking her, Clara shrugged. "Since we're both under suspicion, why not let Mike decide who tried to seduce him? He should know best, right?" "Yeah, don't let some lunatic ruin Clara's name. Where is that bastard? Let him come out and talk," John blurted, getting riled up. "Fine, just don't regret it later," I warned Clara, locking eyes with her. Confidently, she replied, "Let's see who's gonna regret it." "Stop stalling, Candy. I'm not like you. I've got a train to catch back to the city with John." Her condescending tone made me chuckle. "Hope you don't end up begging on your knees." Then Mike walked in, face full of rage. "Spit it out. Who's the one involved with you?" John demanded, pointing at me and Clara. Mike glared at us, then spat out, "I lied before. It was Clara who flirted with me. The kid she's carrying is mine." The color drained from John's face immediately. "You're lying. Did Candy pay you off?" "Whatever she offered, I can double it," John screamed hysterically. Seeing how things turned against her, Clara shouted, "You're conspiring with Candy to frame me. Officer, don't believe him. The once calm Clara was now visibly shaken. "What the heck is going on? You better explain it to me now." Mike's mom twisted his arm hard a couple of times. "I can prove Mike is telling the truth." The village chief said this while handing a few letters to the police. Seeing those letters, Clara shut her eyes in despair. "So it really was you." After reading the letters, the police headed toward Clara with handcuffs, but John stood in front of her, protecting her. Those letters were definitely forged by Candy. Clara would never do such a thing. "Investigate further." Mike chuckled softly and said, "Didn't expect you to be as dumb as she claimed. She got close to you just to have you take her back to the city. You don't believe me, do you? Then take a look at this." Mike picked out a letter and tossed it to him. After reading it, his hands trembled, and he slapped Clara with a loud smack, gritting his teeth and asking, "Is this true? Just tell me it's not true, and I will still believe you." With a thud, Clara fell to her knees and said, "John, don't believe it. I just wrote those things to humor him. I only love you and would never marry him. I said those things just to deceive him." Seeing Clara confess, John stepped back a few steps and said hopelessly, "I must have been blind to fall for someone like you. Well, Mike and the others won't let you get away with it either." With John stepping aside, the police approached with handcuffs to arrest Clara. She quickly pleaded with Mike, "Tell them we love each other. I'm carrying your child and I'll marry you. No, I'll marry you right now." Her eyes were full of desperation. She knew Mike was her last lifeline. Mike stepped up and kicked her, saying, "Clara, I fell for it once but won't be fooled again. You can rot in jail." Unwilling to give up, Clara begged at Mike's mom's feet. "I really am carrying his child. Can you bear to watch me go to jail? The baby is your grandson." Seeing Mike's mom unmoved, Clara realized there was no room for negotiation. She snarled, "If your son won't marry me, no one else will dare to. Just wait, I'll charge him with rape." Hearing her threat, Mike's mom grabbed her by the collar and slapped her continuously until her mouth bled, only stopping when the police intervened. Clara was taken away, and the investigators who had come could now return. My name was cleared. The village chief reported the details back to the city, and luckily, I got the chance to return to the city this time. On the day of returning, I went to see Mike. He apologized profusely, and I handed him my ration and cloth coupons along with money from my parents, saying, "This is a little something from me. Here's my family's address. If you're ever in trouble, you can come to the city to find me." Mike looked ashamed and said, "I was in the wrong for that incident, and you're so forgiving not to hold a grudge. I can't accept this." Since he insisted on refusing, I hid the stuff in his chicken coop before leaving. The train back to the city chugged along slowly, with the village gradually disappearing from sight. After 2 days and nights on the train, I finally returned to the city I had been away from for 2 years. At the train station, I saw my parents there to meet me, and standing behind them was a familiar figure. "Candy, welcome back." John tried to casually take my hand, but I avoided him. Seeing my blatant rejection, my mom quickly smoothed things over. On the way back, John kept apologizing, saying he had been fooled by Clara into doubting me. Now that the truth was out, he realized his true feelings and wanted to start over with me. Remembering the past life, a cold sweat ran down my back. I took the marriage paper from his hand, glanced at it and said, "John, have you forgotten? Our engagement was voided when you let Clara burn the marriage paper. Don't try to fool me with a fake one." Seeing my firm rejection, John, with tears in his eyes, grabbed my sleeve and pleaded, "Candy, I was wrong. Can you give me another chance?"
No, John.
"I don't like you anymore. You should wait for Clara." With that, I took my parents' hands and walked home, while John was left behind desperately stomping his feet. Later, my parents went to John's house to explain everything. Since it was John's fault, breaking off the engagement wasn't too difficult. After returning to the city, I spent 2 years at the factory learning skills. When the college entrance exams reopened, I picked up my books and took the exam. On the day the results came out, I was shocked to learn I passed. My mom insisted I wear a big red flower to celebrate. Standing neatly dressed at the door, I saw John with a bruised and swollen face. Neighbors whispered that he had gotten into another fight with his wife, naturally, beaten by his wife Clara. Looking at me, now successful, his eyes showed an indescribable emotion. I didn't spare him a glance as I happily headed home with my parents. In this life, I am grateful that John consistently chose not to pick me. It was because of this that I could trade the chance to return to the city for a brand new life. The end.